Hey, this is Aaron Marshall. It is Wednesday. What is this? July 25th. We are leaving for Utah in just a little over 5 days. We leave Monday, July 29th. First thing Monday morning. And so we've got a lot of stuff going on. We've been just packing. We've been doing all kinds of stuff just to get ready to leave. And so we just wanted to share with people where we are, moving wise, and a couple other things. And also we're continuing to document all these things for us because we want to document this year of our life as we go out to Utah to take the gospel to the state of Utah. Not that there's not tons of people already doing that, but just the little part that we can do in helping to share the good news of Jesus in the state of Utah, but also to start Ratio Christi chapters at the University of Utah and hopefully at Utah Valley University. Also to help with the chapter that started there at Weber State University. The state of Utah is less than 5% evangelical Christian, and obviously we want to change that. So we'd love to meet as many people as we can, to meet with students, to challenge them to look at the truth claims of Christianity. And so we're excited for that journey. We are supported missionaries through Ratio Christi. Ratio Christi is Latin for the reason of Christ. We talk about why we believe what we believe as Christians on university campuses all across the country. I've been able to do that with Ratio Christi here at UNC Wilmington for the past 7 years, and it's been a joy. And we're not leaving Wilmington. We're going on an extended mission trip. So we're basically taking a 1 week mission trip to Utah, and then we're just extending it for 51 more weeks. So I'll tell you, we raise our support to make this happen. And so right now we need to raise an additional $1,900 a month. If you are at all interested in what we're doing, or the ministry of Ratio Christi, or you're just watching this video and you catch the vision for why we're doing what we're doing, and you want to hear more about it, or you want to even support us, I'll put the link below this video. But we're going to document our trip as we go. We're going to do all kinds of videos and do equipping sessions for people as I learn more about the Mormon faith, and to be able to. Why is it different? We'll talk about why it's different than biblical Christianity. I just got this in the mail recently. This is the Book of Mormon, the Doctrines and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price, all in one volume. So these are the three major books that the Mormon people use as sort of the grounds their faith: the Book of Mormon, the Doctrines and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. And then along with the Bible, but their understanding of the Bible is that it was the translation. So they believe that in the first century. So just briefly, Textual Transmission, we believe that, and I think evidence bears this out, that all of the books of the New Testament were written in the first century. And so lots of people would say differently. I think all the evidence bears it out that all of the books of the New Testament were written in the first century. So if Jesus died around 30 AD, plus or minus, within 30 years, you had the bulk of the New Testament written, almost the entire thing. Certainly, Paul died in, I should have looked this up before, but like mid-60s. And so since he wrote the bulk of the New Testament, most assuredly it was written before he died. But then we've got good evidence that the rest of the New Testament was written before that. Certainly before 70 AD, when the temple was destroyed, and then maybe John was writing in 95 with his gospel, and then the book of Revelation. But you've got the whole New Testament written in the first century. Then those are called the autographs. So the originals are the autographs. And then back then you couldn't just run over down to Staples and just run off 50 copies or self-publish it on Amazon. You would have, if someone these letters were circulated, say Paul's letter to the Corinthians was circulated in Corinth, and if somebody wanted to make a copy of that, then they would have to write it, to copy it word for word. So the copies are called manuscripts. And so what we have are copies of copies of copies of copies. And what we can do, and this is much more in depth on another video, we'll talk about it, what we can do is we can compile all of those copies, and then we can help to recreate the original of all of these documents. We don't have any of the originals, right? We don't have none of the originals were preserved, but we do have is copies and copies and copies and copies and copies. And for the New Testament, it's just an exorbitant amount of copies compared to all the other books from antiquity. The New Testament blows it out of the water. And we can compile all of those copies, and actually we can compare if there are errors or anything like that. And we could actually recreate the original. Bruce Metzger and other scholars would say we can recreate the original with, I think his position is like 98 or 99% accuracy. And none of the areas in which there is debate have any bearing on central tenets of Orthodox Christianity. And so you could actually go look, if you have a Bible, go look at the ending of Mark, the long ending of Mark. It actually tells you, the very last chapter at Mark 16, it tells you that this was probably not, well, it tells you in the earliest manuscripts that we have, this, the long ending was not in there. The woman caught in adultery in John, was that John 8, also not in there. In the earliest manuscripts that we have. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't earlier manuscripts, because we know there were, we just don't have any. In the earlier manuscripts, maybe we find them, and we find out that it wasn't there, but in the abundance of caution, we just, just be careful with that. But what the Mormons believe is that somewhere right after these initial, right after the autographs and during the first transmission of these manuscripts, that all of these doctrines were lost. All these doctrines that they restored in through the Book of Mormon, the Doctrines, Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. So all of these traditions that they believe are true, they believe were lost and then restored by them when the angel Moroni visited Joseph Smith in the 1800s. Now, for a variety of reasons, I just think that's just patently false, and that just isn't true. And so they do not put weight. They put more weight in these three books than they would in the Bible, because they believe the Bible is God's word as far as it was translated accurately. In other words, they believe there's lots of errors in the current New Testament that we have. The problem with that is that they seem to pick and choose then the books of the Bible, or the parts of it that they think are helpful to their cause, they think are good, and the parts that seem to go against, they say, well, maybe that's just part of what was lost in translation. And so they don't really, they're not relying on the scripture. So what we're going to do when we go there is we're going to try to help, as best we can with students and, one-on-one settings and in bigger group settings, is look at the textual transmission, look at how we got the Bible that we have today, look at how those documents were preserved and how we can trust that we have what they wrote. And then we look at the Gospels and all these things that we think are really, really important. And so we do this all the time with Ratio Christi here at UNC Wilmington, and we're going to get a chance to do that next year in Utah. So we're 5 days away from moving. Again, we're about $1,900 a month away from what we need to be, just to be able to pay our bills and to do the things that we need to do when we're out in Utah. Our expenses are going up as we move out there. So we've had lots of people support us, and it's been a total blessing. But if you're watching this and you think this is something that you'd be interested in supporting our 1-year mission trip to go out there, please, there's a link even below this where you can go on, you can sign up. Even if you did $25 a month, that would be a huge blessing, or $50. Obviously, if we had 19 people do $100 a month, we would be completely at full support. Just praying that God would just continue to help me as I'm, maybe a little bit stressed, just thinking about all the, what we've got to do to get there, and finances and stuff, is providing for my family. We got 5 kids, and so just help me to be patient, to trust God's timing is always perfect. And so I just thank you, all of those that are supporting us, and have just continued to support us throughout this journey. And I'm confident God has been providing for us for the past 7 years as we lived off support, and so I know that it's gonna. I know His timing again is perfect, just not necessarily my timing, and I'm learning to trust Him more and more. And so, thanks to Neil and Jean Huggins. They hosted a dinner for us, or dessert for us last night with some people that came to hear about our mission trip and to hear about what we're doing. So just thank you for them, and just all these other supporters. Stephanie Glatt, Cindy and Tom Simpson's daughter, she gave us some support last night that was just really really special, and she just felt, she recognized that the work that we're doing is valuable enough that she wanted to support it. And just thank you for them, and the Simpsons and the Huggins and all the people that are just doing amazing things for us. Really helped us feel loved. And so we are excited for packing and all the things that need to happen. But if you've got a couple minutes and you're in the Wilmington area and you want to hear more about what we're doing, I'd love to sit down with you over coffee sometime in the next couple days, tell you about what we're doing, and see if there's something that you'd want to support. If you're considering support us, please, now's the time. We would love to have you on our support team. But more importantly, just pray that God would use us when we're out in Utah. We are excited for the adventure, and we're excited that God would even use us as a small part in people's lives as they come to know him in a saving way. So thank you for listening. Again, I'll put a couple links below this video on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll document that as we document our journey across the country, and then here probably on Facebook and in other places. So subscribe to those links, or if you are so inclined, we'd love for you to click on the link and maybe join us as a monthly supporter, because we certainly need that. So thank you for listening. If you got questions about apologetics, about biblical Christianity, about Mormonism, again, I'm certainly not an expert on Mormonism by any means, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to do my best to learn a lot over this next year, and so I'd love to talk to you more and more about that. But thanks for listening, and God bless.